All right, welcome to the Captain Jamtastic podcast. With me tonight, our illustrious guests, Wanye. Wanye, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jim. Glad to be back.
Yeah, happy to have you back. And we're not going to play any favorites tonight. We're going to be doing a Miners playoff preview. So our second non-biased person, let's welcome to the show, future back-to-back Mooper Ball champion, Mike Dino.
Yeah, very, very unbiased.
We're,
to be here.
We're up to a great start, right, boys? Yeah, I thought so too. That music that everybody just heard, except for Wayne and Mike Dino, because they can't hear it as they play it. But that was actually composed by TagPro's very own Selfie Syntax. So thank you kindly, Selfie. He gave me kind of an intro and a theme song, and I love it. It's awesome. So thank you very much. Much appreciated. Wayne asked for his own theme song as well, Selfie, if you're interested. just for before the games, he wants it to be played. So
it's like the walkout music.
Yeah, so like when if I'm announcing your game, I'll say, "Good God, that's Wayne's music." So we're gonna do a little playoff preview. Very exciting stuff, and this is going to be for Miners. So Miners, you guys didn't get a lot of super extensive content this season. Dope was pretty awesome with his highlight packages. But
yeah, we missed the gem content.
Oh no, not just gem. I'm sure there's others who step up. But yeah, I unfortunately don't have as much time to get into it. But like, we're gonna do at least a playoff preview for you all because you guys have been great this season. So right now I'm showing kind of the board. This is the matchups, kind of color coded there. We have Young Hotties against Land Before Timers. Cap Hazard against Clocks and Blocks. For whatever reason, every time I see that name, I don't want to pronounce the L's. It weirds me out every time. Yeah. I'm like, I don't understand why they would name their team that. And then I'm like, oh, right. I'm just a weirdo. And then we have Qakboosters and All Eyez Henri. And then we have basically a bye game here for Pipe Curious as they play season 1 through 6 House Tagaryen. All right, we'll start.
Jam's pick for that one.
I'm clicking all the boxes here. Now, if you read the playoff preview I did before, it was actually, I think they're one of the strongest teams. So I'll stop wildly putting over Mike Dino here and try to be a bit more.
No, keep going.
All right, so first up, let's take a look at the Hotties and Land Before Timers. Offense for the Hotties, balls to you, Vector Vaughn. Defense, Omar Suchet. And then LBT, we got Fender. Is that Peanut? Is that the correct pronunciation? It's just French?
That's just what people call him.
Most people call him Peanut, yeah.
All right.
Panout? Like the actual pronunciation, but...
All right, screw that. I'm just going to call him P because I'm not messing with this. I don't want to be wrong the whole time. And then on defense, we got Darth and King's Crown. And King's Crown, I believe, is Squeeb, but I didn't want to...
Yeah,
that is Squeeb. Okay, cool.
Vector Vaughn is Snowball as well.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. I was like, I've never heard of this guy. It's kind of weird that he'd suddenly just be selected for Miners. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. Yeah, so we'll take a look before we do the discussion. Just go through the Young Hotties team leaders. I'll announce everything just in case you're listening to this instead of viewing the sweet slides that I spent hours making, or 20 minutes, one of the two. So, balls to you, leader.
With an amazing color scheme, by the way.
Oh, thank you. That was selected by Wayne.
Yeah, I recommended it. I just realized I recommended it.
Young Hotties, team leaders, caps, balls to you, 53, hold, 2864. And then returns and prevent, Omar, 411 for returns, 4812 for prevent. And their pups leader, Suchet, 105. Pretty strong team, especially considering Suchet seemed like an MVP in season 20. When he was leading Despicable Meep. Or Despicable Me. Sorry, Meep. Oh, man.
That's a good one.
And then we take a look at Land Before Timers, the team that Mike Dino founded and Fender stole from him. Yep. So cap leader Fender and hold leader Fender, always near the top of the leaderboard. 59 caps, 4188 on hold, returns 374. 4594 prevent, both for Squeeb, King's Crown. And pups go to Darth at an even 100. He couldn't get the extra one because he didn't want to be a Dalmatian.
The team name really makes more sense with Mike Dino as the captain.
Yes, 100%. The name ties into the team name. I always thought that was
Yeah,
phenomenal.
it was like the greatest name ever created at the time.
I think it got pretty far in the name like bracket thing.
Oh, from last year it did.
There's
Yeah.
so many different levels.
Oh man, I don't have to put Mike Dino over in this podcast because he's doing it himself, and I'm a big fan. So, all right, let's talk about this matchup, boys. Like, what do you like in this matchup? Who do you like, and why? Let's start with Mike Dino. You know these players well.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, even though this is the franchise I founded, this is probably the most lopsided matchup in the playoffs, I would say.
In favor of Young Hotties?
In favor of Young Hotties. They've
Okay.
just been really good all season. Omar and Sachet have like been so good on defense. Balls to You's put up crazy numbers. Not quite as good as Fender's numbers, but they've been getting. They're the top team.
Well, Fender's a stat whore. We all know this. So.
Yeah, and then for LBT, I think like Fender, I think has gotten definitely better in the past few seasons. Whereas like Darth and Peanut coming off of breaks from competitive have not gotten back to where they were before, and I think Squeeb has like stepped down a little bit in his play.
Yeah.
So it's really been Fender like kind of pulling this team into the playoffs.
For
Not
sure.
to say that, I mean, Squeeb's probably their second best player at this point, and he's still really good, but just not where he was before.
Wayne, I don't know how much you've been watching minors this season. I know you are a TagPro connoisseur. Do you have any thoughts on either of these teams?
I've watched a little bit of both of them. I think I've seen more of Young Hotties than Timers.
There you have it. Wayne's a perv.
I think, yeah, I'm really into the Young Hotties. I really like the defense of Omar and Sachet. I know Omar is like leading in a lot by key returns in minors. Sachet's been playing great in his majors minutes that he's gotten, and Omar's been playing well in his too. So they've both gotten the call up, and they're both playing majors as well as minors. I think they're probably like top three at minimum defense, maybe top one. So I think I'd probably give it to them. Maybe in three, but I'm gonna say two.
For sure. Now, Wayne, like, I don't know how big of a basketball fan you are, Mike Dino, but I'm going to make like a basketball comparison here. That's pretty easy to follow. So even if anyone listening is not a basketball fan, you should go on. So Mike Dino kind of talked about Fender and his numbers. He has that, I guess the modern player would be a Damian Lillard potential, where Mike Dino might be able to go off for a half or two, or maybe even a game or two, and he can just completely carry them all off of his offense.
Wait, Mike Dino or Fender?
Yeah, Fender.
We know Mike Dino can go off.
I'm talking about Fender. I said Mike
Okay.
Dino because that's
just on the mind.
Yeah, I mean, like that's assumed that I'm also talking about him at all times.
Yeah.
If it's good.
But we know he's going off every half.
Yeah. But Fender,
Okay.
Fender can go off any half. He's a carry machine. He's like Mike Dino said, he's been doing it in the regular season, and he's kind of gotten this team to the playoffs. It's a little almost Kobe-esque in the fact that he can drag a team in and can just win one game all by himself. So then it's just on the team to potentially win one more. I personally hate matching up against teams like that because it's just like, well, what if he does have that one game against us? Then, now we have to win two, and we kind of have our backs against the walls.
So is the 10 T-Gasp, right?
T-Gasp? I'm not sure. Definitely O-Gasp.
Yeah, definitely O-Gasp. But he's been dominant. I feel like it's worth pointing out.
Hopefully he doesn't rupture his Achilles.
Or like, I don't know, any wrist ligaments, but
arthritis.
Yeah, he just gets arthritis in the middle of the game. I'm looking up Fender just to check to see if he had the 10 T-Gasp. He did. He had the 10-0, 10T. But if you're talking about Nish, that's only a 95, so, whatever.
I played him in majors last week, and I thought he played really well. Probably better than I expected. But, yeah, he could definitely take over this game. But I would be surprised to see it against this defense of all the defense.
Yeah. That said, I was just going to kick it back to my Dino for one last thought. Do you think Fender has the capability against this team. The other aspect of this is Omar and Suchit are pretty good as a defense, but there's a difference between regular season defense and playoff defense. Especially when it gets to a 3-game series, there's no like throwing if you're down in the half or whatever. You're trying much harder, etc. Um, do you still think they're just completely outmatched? They being Land Before Timers.
Um, I would say yes. I'd say yes. I think it'll be really hard for Fender to do enough to like get 2 wins for Land Before Timers.
Yeah, and he did. There was a trade. I guess we should kind of talk about briefly. They did acquire Peanut. There was a little bit of or P. I'm gonna say I forgot, but they acquired P just because they were having trouble in the early part of the season. They just couldn't find that second offender that Fender felt comfortable with. That I know they had into someday at one point. I forget who was first, and then
I believe it was J Bay.
J-Bay, yeah, and then that I don't know if they were released or what, but then once P became available, there was either a trade or a signing to pick him up, and they've been, I don't know, pretty much the same ever since. But there's just a little more of a comfort level, it feels like, for that team.
Yeah, I think that their best chance of beating Young Hotties is probably just playing really, really good OD and
Yeah.
then still generating the same type of opportunities.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting thing for Fender, because being somebody who has watched him and played with him an awful lot over the past few seasons, or since my TagPro career began, I know a lot of his strategy on OD sometimes is, well, let me get a grab here and get away. So it'll be
I think
interesting.
Peanut is somewhere in that vein.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if that is successful against this team or if they adopt a different strategy. But it sounds like series picks. Dino, you have Hotties. How many games do you think it's going to go?
I'll say 3 games. I'll give them a game.
Yeah. Wayne, how about you?
I was considering it, but I think the Young Hotties takes care of business.
You know what? You're both
They'll go 2.
wrong. It's okay to be wrong. LBT in 2.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. No, it's going to be Young Hotties, I think. I do think it'll be 3 games. I didn't really talk about Balls to You, but Balls to You is freaking ridiculous. I played alongside him.
Yeah, he is good.
Yeah, played alongside him when we won the Nooper a couple seasons ago, season 15 in NLTP. I forget. I think it's like season 17 MLTP if you do the comparison. But yeah, he's a one-man offense. I did some stuff to help, but like he doesn't need somebody to generate anything for him. He's a spark plug all by himself. And I think that's going to be the big difference to me in this series is I think he'll be able to get out on Darth and King's Crown a bit more, in my opinion. And I think that's going to be the big difference is Balls to You, ability to get out. But if they figure out a way to just shut down Balls to You, I think it's going to be a really close series. But they won't, because he's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think just collectively on both sides, like I think the Young Hotties defense is better, and I think the Young Hotties offense with Snowball is better than Fender and Peanut as a whole.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
After just looking at this offense's profiles, I just want to point out that Balls to You and Snowball have a combined 7 titles together. So they've got the
championship caliber.
Championship yeah, championship bread. They most people call that the jam.
The 7 title.
Or the Bill Russell. Next up we got Cap Hazard versus Clocks and Blocks. Cap Hazard offense, JJ Poole, Will 11119. Sorry, wait, that might have been too many ones. 1119. Defense Q42 and Slide. Clocks and Blocks got Refined and Crossover on O, and then D, Horse and Frozen. And this is a team that came together pretty late in the regular season. How do you boys feel about them? Clocks
The Blocks?
Clocks and Blocks, yeah.
I think they have a lot of talent individually, and they just need to play together. And if they do play together, then they'll be really good. Obviously, I'm a big proponent of Horse because he's my deep. So I believe in him. I know Frozen's really good too.
Yeah, I think they probably would have had a better regular season record had they been together longer. But I think
Yeah.
week
Actually,
5.
I think they have a team for crossover now. I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
I
you're
don't know.
correct. No, you're
Yes,
correct.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a late ad. Sorry, crossover, you're out. But at least you made the slideshow, buddy. Yeah, that was a interesting ad. So funny note. When I was doing the um, what do you call it, the write up on this teams. I was wondering. I was looking at crossover and I was like, oh, he's going to be great. He was a pup monster last year. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I looked and his pup percentage had dipped so hard. He was down at like 19% or I forget what it was, 9%, I think, something like that. And I think the previous season it was like so much higher. I was just like, oh, so I totally because I was a little confused when I saw why he was dropped, but I think that may have been part of the reason, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they're just I played them week 1, and they're just a completely different team. So, and I
Yeah,
haven't really seen them play since.
yeah. But
So
are you scared of him?
nah, I'm scared. Yeah, I think that like the team, like even at the beginning of the season, like people were hyping up their team, but
Yeah.
for whatever reason, like they just didn't have the cohesiveness or something. I don't know what it is exactly, but like for whatever reason, they couldn't put it together. And I
I
don't know.
think
I like Frozen. I think is an upgrade. I don't know if Team is an upgrade from what they had before. I mean, I've watched Team play NLTP all season, and
Mhm.
he's been like pretty amazing in NLTP. And I don't really know how he did last week, but I don't know if he'll be able to put it together against a minors caliber defense.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I like Team a lot. I thought he was a pretty underrated season 20. He played minors, but yeah, he wasn't really picked up till late this season. So what do I know?
I think at its peak, Clocks and Blocks could have the most talent in the, but because they've had such a dynamic roster so far, they really haven't had like all the quality like scrims together. Also,
Yeah,
and I think the team is probably better than Crossover in the sense that he's like a better support player, and I don't know, he just meshes better, and he's less of an individual like skill.
yeah,
Probably better block.
100% agree with that. I think a lot of times when you build a team in TagPro, the thought is, let me get the 4 best players and we're going to win. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what they do together. But I often find, and one of the good metrics is Bright, where, yeah, Bright comes off and has a great season. But one of the reasons he wins all the time is you look at the players, they just complement each other so well. Like Wayne, I would classify you, for example, as a lead defender. And I thought when he picked up Pandora last season, for the majors run you guys had, I thought that was the perfect compliment to you because you guys play each other so well. Panda was
Yeah.
totally willing to play like a heavy prevent style, kind of change his style to not go for the stats and whatnot.
Well, I
As
had
much.
wanted to play with Pandora for like I think 5 seasons before, like every single season, and it just wouldn't match up. Either he wouldn't play, or I wouldn't play, or
Yeah,
something would go wrong. But eventually, we got it together, and that was pretty good.
yeah. I mean, you guys won a championship, so.
Yeah, can't complain.
So, point of my story is I'm always right. You should build a team without star players. It should be not star players necessarily, but there should be a bit of cohesion to what the players do for each other. I've seen so many times where people go heavy on like 2 offensive players, so to speak, like star offensive players, and yeah, they get a lot of grabs and a lot of caps, but like I guess there's no money or tag coins invested in the defense, or they just don't complement each other well, so it never really ends up working out.
Mm.
That's just my 2 cents. I'm gonna run through some of these team leaders. JJ Poole will each have 31 caps. Hold is Will with 3,003. Slide 336 on returns. Q42, 4540 prevent, and slide with 114 pupperoos. And then on the other side, we got 35 caps for refined with 2726 hold. These numbers are going to be lower because their team has not been as consistent. Returns, Horse 266, prevent 2761, and then the pups refined with 81. Mike Dino, any other insight that you can gleam onto us here regarding this matchup?
I haven't played. We didn't play Cap His this season, and we didn't really scrim them that much. I mean, I think Q42 is a really, really good defender whenever I play him in TPM. I play with him in TPM. He always seems really good.
Sure.
But I actually don't have a lot of insight on Cap Hazard.
Yeah, I'm kind of
mean-
the same way. I don't know their team all that well. It sounded like Wayne was about to say the same thing. Sorry for cutting you off, bud. But I don't.
I wasn't talking, but you read my mind. 'Cause but I will say Q42 has been really, really good in TPMs I've watched him in. He just has really good awareness, so he's gonna anchor the defense and then slides like a really active defender too. So they're kind of a boomer bust team, I think.
Yeah. And again, sorry for having Crossover's name on there. That should be team. But who do you guys got in this series? This is kind of a coin toss.
I like the talent that Clocks and Blocks has. I know the defense is really strong because I've played majors with both Frozen and Horse on defense, and I'm pretty big fans of both of them. And they can both create on offense too. And I know Refine can switch back to defense like mid game, even though he's restricted.
Yeah.
I just think they have a lot of talent, and I'm probably going to take them in two here.
Sure.
Probably just I don't know enough about Cat Hazard, and I'm sleeping on them.
Could be. Yeah. How about yourself, Mike Dino? Who do you think?
I think just because of the cohesion that Cap Hazard has probably put together throughout the season, it's probably pretty big for them.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think the defense is the strong point of Clocks and Blocks. And I don't know. We'll see if Team and Refine can put it together. I think I'll say Cap Hazard in 3.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going 3. I could go either way on it. I am going to give the slight edge to Clocks and Blocks just because I really like Frozen. I think he's one of those guys that he's he's a skeleton key. That's the best way of putting his talents skill base, in my opinion. He kind of fits with any team and does what's asked of him. And I think he might be like a pretty big pickup for that team that kind of glues them together as they try to find. I think this is the last round that they can have like not having their chemistry at 100%. They can have it at like 80, 85%. But I think no pressure, Frozen, but I expect you to be the backbone of the team.
I think Horse is probably the backbone of the team, but adding Frozen at the end there, you're right. He is like a skeleton key. I think
Yeah.
he does everything that's asked of him, and then some, like in minors at least.
Yeah.
And I just think he's an impact player for sure. And they have two impact.
Yeah, maybe skeleton key or backbone isn't the correct phrase. Maybe it's more like he's a really good locker room guy, and at least if it was me and I heard, oh, we lost X player, but we picked up Frozen, and honestly, to me, it doesn't even matter which side of the tiles he's going to play on. I'm like, you know what, that's a great pickup, and I'm happy to have it.
Especially at the minors level, you could argue that's a good pickup at the majors level.
I mean, you could, but you'd be wrong. He's not that good. No, I'm just kidding, Frozen. Oh, my dad didn't realize I was just going to flame half the league.
So toxic.
No,
I'm glad I'm on your good side.
Yeah.
No, Frozen.
It's you and Grumpy.
Grumpy's
really.
great. Grumpy's great too. We should talk about him, even though he's not playing minors. But yeah, no, I tried to put Frozen over a lot, but I don't want to make it seem too biased. I do think he is a phenomenal player, though, and would be happy to be on his team at any point in my career. Anyways, I feel like I'm talking like a guy who's had one drink too many. Let's move on. Season 1 through 6. House Tagaryen. I like the pun. Well done. Against Pi Curious. So, Mike Dino, why is House Tagaryen going to win?
Well, they're not. Let me tell you why.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, definitely. I was going to say they got Dad and First on offense for House Tagaryen. Cheese Doodle, Gargantua on defense. I think that's just a monster team. But they're going up against a monster team. You got Balenka and the GOAT support player or secondary offender or even primary offender, Mike Dino. Juki Yor and Raz round out the defense.
Yeah, so you and Bright have gotten on this Mike Dino the GOAT thing. It's getting to I used to be underrated in most circles, and now it's like I'm kind of getting overrated. I think
Oh,
there's
I
like
get
too
that.
much. There's too much.
Sure, I get that. I just got one quick question. Who won the Mooper Ball last year?
That is a good question. I believe it was a team called Qakboosters,
Oh, okay.
and I think that
We'll get to
Mike
them.
Dino and Juke of Yor were on that team.
There you have it. I will never stop putting you over, buddy. No matter how hard you ask, I'm sorry. It's just gonna happen.
Well,
But you
thankful.
all heard it here,
Thankful.
Hurst. He's very humble, very humble. Season 1, and so House Tagaryen team leaders. We got first with 49 captures. Hold goes to Dad with 2709. Returns Gargantua 338. Prevent Cheese Doodle 4936. And Pups go to first with 77. Pretty well-rounded team on that side of the tiles, I would say.
I think these are both well-ended teams. Personally, like this is probably if I was gonna pick one matchup to watch, this would probably be it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's partially because my defensive sub is Cheese Doodle and my offensive sub is Mike Dino. So they're going for
Wait, what do you mean? Is this
for our major
fantasy?
team. Those are our 2 subs.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And obviously, I'm a fan of Rasp, and I like Dad in first too. So this is just gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great game. We'll take a look at the other side in a moment. But Mike Dino, like, we're going to put your team over enough without your help. But what good things do you have to say?
I think my team. I think we are very well rounded. Like none of us are gonna be like the most. I would say mechanically the best in any given game. I think,
Mhm.
but I think we cover each other really well, and we play a kind of. I think kind of aggressively. Like we push for returns pretty hard, and we like just kind of go for it, and we found success that way.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think that definitely House Targaryen is super well rounded and really good team, and we've scrimmed them like the most I think out of every team. So it was pretty interesting that they picked us. I think that like over the course of the season they've probably beaten us more in scrims, but we have a positive cap differential on them in the matchup we had.
Okay.
So it was interesting, definitely an interesting pick.
Yeah, like, well, we'll take a look at your team's leaders here. Balenka and has the capture lead with 38 and hold 2647. Returns Raspberry 324. Prevent Joy 3897. And Pups, of course, Raspberry. She screams Pups every time they come up and she grabs them. She's got 90 of them. Mike Dino, spiritual leader, 120%. So good job there. Crushing it.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I was a little surprised by this pick. Now, I mean, keep in mind, I'll go back up here to show you the matchups that can be selected or whatnot. It was the number 2 team was House Tagaryen, and they could have picked between Pot Curious, Clocks and Blocks, and All Eyez on Re. And maybe it's because they feel a little familiarity, as you just said, scrimming with you as much. But I did not think this was the best matchup for them. I think it's actually a more difficult matchup, and I think the double curious thing is when you are doing these pick'ems, you try to find a team that, okay, I think I can beat them, and I also think this team that we're not picking will be a difficult matchup for another team. And it feels like to me they just ignored both those rules and just went with like, let's pick the hardest team to go up against. So I was a little confused by it. And that's not me just trying to put you over my tenor. I was legitimately surprised when I saw that was the second pick. Wayne, what are your thoughts on that?
I kind of heard in Mike Dino's voice sound a little bit slighted that they picked him. I think I'd agree with it. I feel like they could have probably made an easier pick, but House Targaryen has one of the most explosive offenses, and their defense is top in prevent.
Yeah, no, their team is legit.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Like they could easily have been the number 1 seed, and I think a lot of teams were scared of the team we had just talked about, Clocks and Blocks, just based off reputation. So I think the only other option for them would have been, All Eyez on Ree. And
Yeah.
but to me, I think that's kind of a no-brainer pick. Maybe they saw Easy there. He's been having a great season in both majors and minors, and they were like, I don't know if we want to mess with him too much.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Like you look at our team versus like Clocks and Blocks, they have Frozen and Horse on defense,
Yeah.
who are majors Cowboy players, and then you look at All Eyez on offense, they have Dope and Easy, probably both majors caliber players,
And
and
go ahead. I'm sorry.
And none of us on Picurious are getting majors minutes. So, I mean, you can look at that and say like, yeah, maybe we're the weakest team, but I think when we put it together, we're much better than those teams.
One
Yeah.
thing I think you guys really have going for you is I think that you guys are probably the best two-way team. I think that all four of your players can play both positions very,
that's
very
true.
well.
Also,
100% agree with you. The biggest thing is, the two-way player thing is huge to me. And maybe it's just a matter of not really knowing the other players and just going based off of fear, or not really, not necessarily respecting Picurious, but like not realizing how good they work together as a unit. Like these guys have played together for years. Like that factors in to me, and I think it's a pretty bold gambit. I do think House Tagaryen is like a really, really, really good team. When I look at their roster, until they picked Picurious, I was like, I think they're going to do the most damage in the playoffs. But now for me, it's kind of a coin flip, and I don't know who to pick. So Mike Dino, we know you're picking Picurious. We're not going to put you on the spot like that. Wayne, who do you got? Pretend Mike Dino earmuffs. I don't want you to hear either way.
I'm gonna go with Picurious in 3 games as an upset. I had Picurious as my number 1 team, like preseason rank.
Yeah.
And they like lived up to it pretty quickly and then kind of fell off a little bit. But I still think that they just have championship DNA. Like I like all the players like mentalities, I guess.
Yep.
And I think that House Targaryen is a little bit newer to the scene. And even though they're a really good team together, I just think the experience is going to be better for Picurious.
Yeah, and another one, Bright actually PM'd me and let me know that he had Picurious in the upset as well. He thought that playoff Jukayor is a different
That's
animal.
A good point. Yeah.
Playoff joy.
Yeah.
Well,
apparently Jukayor just mails in the regular season and gets up for the playoffs. They call it the ladder season.
We
at
all?
Barkley.
I think the stat is that he's never not made it to a Mooper Bowl when he's played minors.
Oh, I know he's been to a lot.
So he has, like it was his 3rd last season.
So he's the LeBron of minors.
Yeah, he just makes it to the finals.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, not to harp on it too much, but the championship pedigree, both Mike Dino and Jukiyor are defending. It's not like they're coming off showing a lot of rust. Raspberry's been playing the whole time. I would argue this is probably the best team she's been on. I wouldn't say best, actually. Her team last year was really, really good as well. I don't want to slight them.
She's been on some good ones.
Beat by Dino and Joy.
Exactly. So there you have it. But like, I think Raspberry, this is probably, I would say, the most fun she's had. I don't want to speak on her behalf, but the circumstances that she had to captain last season weren't exactly ideal.
I think she's in control of her destiny more than in season.
Yeah.
And hopefully she takes advantage.
Actually, I do want to ask you this, Mike Dino. How is like the comms during game? It seems like this team would be really relaxed, really fun. Just watching Balenka when he streams, he seems like a hilarious guy.
Yeah, it is really fun. It's been a really fun team to be on, and like Joy sometimes gets hard on himself, and that's kind of the most difficult thing we have to deal with in terms of comms. But I think we've been good at like getting past that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's always good to be a little hard on yourself. So props to Joy.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. I was gonna make a bad joke, and I realized it was distasteful. So, we'll leave it off. But this one, I don't know which way it's gonna go. In my opinion, I think it's going 3 games. Prove me wrong, Mike Dino. Get the broom out to these boys. But I think this like I said, prior to this, I really thought Pycurius was like, oh, okay, this is my dark horse team. And if I were to pick a top team, I think House Tagaryen. I thought like there was a lot of potential for those two teams to meet in the Mooper Ball itself. So seeing it in the first round, I was just kind of like, huh.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that we have to mention, we haven't actually brought it up. Minors is like ridiculously competitive, guys. Every season, you look at the standings, and the past two seasons for Minors have been absurd. But the eighth place team has 21 points, and the 11th place team had 18. So like this was a very competitive season. It was any team could go anywhere. The top team only has 29 points. There's nobody really running away with anything. So like even though people say, "Oh, you guys are really picking this," like if you look at it realistically, Pycurius is 6 wins and 2 OT wins. They're 8-6. Then House Tagaryen is like 9-5 if you take the OTs out. And
The largest gap is 2 points if you ignore the 12th place.
yeah,
So it's just 1 or 2 points in every single season.
yeah,
All the way down to
yeah. So I think like you very easily, the point being, and I think Wayne and I agree, Mike Dino doesn't so much, but I think you could have easily flipped this ledger and LBT could have been one, and I would have been like, yeah, okay, that's not that surprising, like Young Hotties was 8th, and be like, yeah, okay, like that's kind of my feelings on it. So yeah, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Mike Dino's offended. He's left.
It's been a really competitive season. I mean, the last 2 seasons have been like very, very even.
Yeah.
The last season, I think the 5, 6, 7, 8 seeds made it out, and then the 7, 8 was the Mooper Bowl.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. It's just like patently absurd because first of all, you draft. Generally, the rule of thumb in TagPro, especially when you at the majors level, I feel like that's still the way it is. If you draft a really good team, after the draft, I look at the teams and I say, yeah, I think these two teams are going to the finals. Potentially, this team has a chance, and then that's it. And kind of to a small degree, definitely last season I felt that way. This season hasn't been as bad in the majors level, but in the minors it's different because you draft a really good team, but then there's all these cuts and roster movement on top in the majors, and then those players come down to minors and just completely turn everything upside down. So it's like it's kind of difficult to go 1-0-0-13 TC Jukes. Come on. But no, it's a like realistically, it's very difficult to have a horrendous season continuously if you're really efforting to like be in it. And I think if I'm not mistaken, the playoffs weren't decided until the last game was played for week 7 in minors. You might be able to speak better to me.
Yeah, that's I believe that's true. Like even I mean I think we were one. Yeah, I think if we had gotten swept, we would have been out.
Yeah.
Like nothing was certain the last week.
Yeah. Which is very different because going in for majors, there, after week 6, there was already 3 playoff locks, and I think 2 teams that already were definitely not making the playoffs. So it's a very different atmosphere.
I know
Anyways,
about that. I think it was just one. I think it was just Falling Nothing who was eliminated that fast because
no, I think
RCP was at the
also
bottom for a while, but then they came back and made it.
no, I was thinking no, not RCP was low, but it was Chennai Super Pings, I believe they were out.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, but I mean like neither here nor there. Sorry, we're just
Yeah, sorry.
minors people are like, hey man, you told
Derail.
us you do your minors podcast, and you're sitting here talking about majors again. Sorry, boys.
That's
and
my
gals.
bad.
No, it was mine. It was fine. Let's move on. We got last matchup here. Qakboosters, quack, 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 against All Eyez on Re, the Tupac Shaker team. We have offensive Dope and Ez, easy. Defense ASAP and Cadenza, that's for All Eyez on Re. And then Qakboosters, the team that let Mike Dino get away. What were you thinking? What were you thinking? We got hashtag selfie syntax, carrot cake, Titan Blue, and Fly. I should have done that a little better. It's selfie and Titan on offense, carrot and Fly. Fly Malo. She's going by FM this season on defense. So first thing we need to semi-address, we're not going to get into it too much, but unfortunately the big scandal this season kind of made Qakboosters a very talked about team.
For sure.
Very, very different than they looked before.
Yeah, and they had to make some roster moves. I was a little surprised personally, like with all the games that had to be replayed at the majors level. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, I may not have just been as invested, but it didn't look like they replayed any at the minors level, which I thought was kind of surprising.
Yeah. I think it was an independent vote. I think it was the majors captains who voted against FK, and then the minors did not.
Okay.
So there was no like rule to replay that. They weren't forced.
So was he also banned from minors?
No, he just quit minors, I think.
Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting situation. The only thing I want to say on it, and I might do another pod with Curry and others to jump into it, but for me, in that type of a situation, if the evidence is overwhelming or it's concrete, I did not see anything. Let me preface this. If it is concrete evidence and it's overwhelming, I personally am of the opinion you should be banned, if not for multiple seasons, for life. Because why? There's no reason to cheat. I mean, it's like, to me, it's akin to steroids in baseball, but it's a bit worse because like you're just kind of ruining everyone's season, especially if you get caught like this. On the other flip side of that, if the evidence was not concrete and they couldn't really prove anything, I don't think there should be any ban at all, and he should have just been allowed to continue to play. Like, that's just my opinion, but I wanted to put it out there because I think it needed to be said. I think people were asking themselves, how does the GM feel about this? Nobody was asking.
Now you got a public stand.
Yeah, I do the podcast. I devised this whole season of podcasts just for this moment.
I consider you the moral compass of TagPro, so I really want to know.
Oh no, TagPro's in trouble, buddy. Oh, hi, Parker. My dog is sniffing my feet. Hi, buddy. So yeah, let's jump back into it though. We got this season right here, right now. The reboosted or the revamped Qakboosters, I should say, and All Eyez on Qakboosters. Their team leaders are going to be a little wacky, but not really too much. It's going to be Selfie and Fly for everything. So Selfie with caps 37, hold 26-26, and pups 73. And Fly Malo with returns 345 and prevent 4186. And then All Eyez on we got Dope, caps and hold leader. He's got 44 caps, 3164 hold. Incandenza, who I actually knew nothing about prior to the season.
That is Costanza, if you don't know.
Can't stand you. I did know it was Costanza because I've always seen like the memes and whatnot. But still, never really knew Costanza all that much. So 320 in returns, 4267 in prevent. Obviously holding it down, even though I don't know how good he is. And then pups go to our boy Easy. No surprise there, 89. What do you guys like about these teams? What do you like about this matchup? I think aside from the series we just talked about, I think this is the most interesting matchup.
Yeah, I mean, prior to the games last week, I would have said this would have been pretty easy for All Eyez on. Just that I would have thought that FK to Titan Blue would be a pretty big downgrade.
Yeah.
But Titan Blue showed up. Like, he put up some insane numbers. I think he like got into the top 10 gasp in like 1 week. So
yeah, but in fairness, he only played 1 week, and they played TC Jukes, who, I just kind of made fun of them. No offense. I shouldn't have done that. That was pretty rude. But, they won 1 game all season. That's not exactly a top tier team they're playing against.
No, you can make fun of them. They only win
1. No, that's rude. Oh, Ishii wants to have a word with you.
She knows where to find me.
But my point being, like, Titan did have a great week, but I don't think we've seen anything from him or that offense to make any type of judgment on them at all.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Sorry for my title. He was like, "Here's an opinion," and I was just like, "No, you're wrong. You're terrible." I will say, Yeah, Bright gave me another pick on this one. He also picked the Alls Henri. Oh, Jesus, Jam, get it together. All
We know
eyes,
what you meant.
all eyes on Henri. He picked them for the
Also,
upset in this one. Oh, they're burying me, boys. And also, thanks a
I
lot,
think.
Mike Dino, for earlier. We're going to take a quick aside here. When I
Oh.
I mistyped something in the Discord channel, and you immediately jumped on me. I expected somebody else to do it, not my good friend Mike Dino.
Yeah, mistype. Right.
No, no. Jeepers, what a guy you are.
No,
Oh.
you're just proud of your bright mode. That's all it is.
Jeepers. I do
I
like my
know
bright
you.
mode. Um, I'm not changing. I'm sorry for everyone who wants to stop listening. I'm still using
He's
it.
not changing. He's not changing his white Discord either.
My OBS is the dark mode. I don't know if there's a light mode, but I would probably stick with the dark mode. I like it on OBS. Anyways, sorry. Let's get back to this game. Let's give these guys the attention they actually deserve.
Well, I guess 2/3 isn't that bad.
Yeah, 2/3. I'll take
Yeah.
it. How do you feel about this team or this matchup, Wayne?
Well, Qakboosters is definitely a different team than we've seen most of the season. And All Eyez and I think it stayed more or less the same. I don't know how long they've had ASAP. I don't remember the last time I watched, but I feel like they had like PC Gamey before, if I'm not wrong. Is that
Yes,
accurate?
yeah.
Okay. So they've changed him out. I think the Easy is like far and away the best player in probably definitely in this game and then probably in minors.
Yeah, I think ASAP
I
was
think
the
he's a
guy they
really good.
acquired really late in the season. All Eyes on Henri. They made like a trade late in the season to get him.
I tend to favor teams that have the stronger defenses, and I think the Qakboosters definitely has a stronger defense here. But I think Easy's probably good enough to manage the game and probably get them 2 wins here out of 3.
Sure.
Would that be my prediction?
Mike Dino, what does your
Yeah,
expertise tell us?
it's hard to judge. I do think that FK was one of the better players on Qakboosters, and FK and Fly was a much better defense, I think, than Fly and Carrot. Um, so and Dope and Easy will definitely take advantage of that. So yeah, I do think that All Eyes on Re has the advantage here. As much as I love Fly and the Qakboosters,
Yeah.
I feel bad for my former teams. I'm just like
No,
picking
you're
against them
just
every time.
you're trying to pick against them so that everybody knows that Mike Dino is the
Yeah.
one who stays tall. You're alpha dogging him.
All right, Balanka, you hear that? Pick me up next season.
Oh, so I think this is a really interesting matchup because I think these two teams play a pretty different style of game. First out, shout out to Selfie yet again for that awesome intro song. He had a phenomenal season 20. He's having a decent season 21. The numbers aren't as good, but I think he's doing more for the team, if that makes sense. And then All Eyes on Re, like I've always said this, like there's certain players that I call, it's kind of like, I don't know if Chris Pronger is the right name, but there are, for anyone who liked 90s to early 2000s hockey, it's an offensive defenseman is the way that I think of the style of player. And I think ASAP is that type of player who's like, I'm going out for a second. Like, I'm just going to do this. Another example last season would have been Mr. Hat on defense, or Dr.
Yeah.
Hat at the time. They like to go, oh, and I think that kind of opens you up to bad situations at times. But
It does, yeah.
if you do it right, it is the ultimate, like the best player I've ever seen play that style, aside from Wanye, was Hark. Oh, and Grumpy. Let's just throw his name in because I can put him over now,
Yeah,
even
Grumpy.
though I don't think he plays that much OD, but the different type of OD. But anyways, when you do this offensive defensive, it's risky, and you need to have somebody who can help counteract that. And the reason I like the All Eyes on Re team is because Easy is the type of player that can help counteract that aggressiveness and that style of play. So it's really like last season. I felt like with ASAP, I forget which team he was on, but they had a really good run. And then when they got to the playoffs, it was kind of like, ooh, we're in a tough situation here, you know.
Yeah.
This season, I feel like that situation is just much better for them. if that makes sense. And I just,
I think th-
yeah, go ahead.
sorry.
No, you're
I
good.
think in order to do that stat that you or like that type of offensive defenseman strategy you're talking about, you
Mhm.
need to have really good timing with your defender.
Yeah,
And if you can get that timing, it can be really optimal play. But if you mistime it, it can open up a lot of holes for your defense. And I
yeah,
think with Easy, he can cover those holes and hopefully take advantage of the optimization that it gives him. So
yeah,
I'm gonna
and
stick with.
that like again, this is the specific example I'll give, and where I thought it was done perfectly. So I would be playing like a late night tourney, and Hark would be on my team, or a pug or whatever, and Hark's on my team, and we're playing like Emerald, and now he kills both dudes. And before they even spawn, he's hit the boost and he's on offense. So now it's like 3-0 against like
Yeah,
4D, but he's just caused complete chaos for the other team because they're like, wait, we got to get, and a lot of times
and
he
not
would,
only is it a 3v4, but Hark also has momentum, like with
yeah,
that boost coming.
yep, exactly. And then he'd be out going the other way, get a cap. So like that, it's just like one of those things that like you really have to have the right timing on. You have to know which maps you can do it on.
Mhm.
The biggest risk is players who don't have it mastered will often do it on maps that it's inappropriate to make that type of a play on, and then that opens up the holes, like Wayne said, where well now you got one guy preventing against two. That's not going to work. They're going to be out, and now you've created a difficult situation for yourselves.
Well, I don't know if ASAP can exactly emulate Hark, but I do think
Fair.
that Easy will, Easy does a good job of covering for
He's
his
Right.
a good game manager.
Right. That I think that was exactly my point. I don't think, no disrespect to ASAP. I think he's an awesome player, but he's not Hark, and he's not like those timing and those routes aren't pinpoint perfect when he does them. But because, like you said, of Easy has the game sense to say, okay, this is the situation I'm in. Let me do this. And it's not just Easy. I think like it's the team as a whole. Having a guy like Easy kind of like says, okay, this is what we're doing now. Especially because somebody told me the other day, like Easy is like a lot more commie now. he's not he's not a Russian from the '80s. Sorry, his his com links are much better, much improved from where they were when he first started playing. So
I'd
as
say
he
he's still quiet, but he communicates any like relevant information, so he gets everything.
right, and that's I think like that type of leadership is something that benefits any team. Another player who does that very very well is Mike Dino.
Agreed.
Oops.
We're still going to put you over, Mike Dino. I think that's it, boys. Unless you got anything else you guys want to discuss.
I just want to say one more thing about Qakboosters, which is like I
Sure.
do think that Titan Blue has the capability to show up in this game. Like him and Selfie Syntax,
Yeah.
I think they'll have a pretty good success rate against this defense. Maybe not quite as good as what Dope and Easy will do against the Qakboosters.
I think this is
But-
going to be an offense dominated game.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the flags will be out a lot.
Yeah. That's good. I'm glad you said that. Let's go back to that because it did sound like I was just kind of crapping all over Titan Blue. I was simply, to me, I was just trying to state this season we have really no concrete evidence that he's going to be great, or there's just nothing to go off of. So he's kind of a wild card. Was kind of the point I was making. But he is a good offensive player. It wasn't me trying to knock him, or put myself over, or put my Dino over, or Dope over, whatever.
The only thing we really have is his B team stats, and I feel like that's quite the jump from B team to majors.
Yeah.
But he was leading, like he was first in caps by 30 caps, which is like not a small amount.
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah,
that's
he,
kind of
he
like,
definitely shouldn't be on B team.
Yeah.
But is what it is. And
Yeah.
I think he'll show up.
Yeah,
I think it'll be closer than what I initially thought it would.
I'm actually looking forward, now that you mentioned it, to the Dope verse. Not that it's a one-on-one thing, but Dope and Selfie both have pretty nice holds, so it's always kind
I
of
think Dope
entertaining
and
to watch them.
Selfie played together a lot too in the past. Could be a little rivalry.
Oh yeah, let's get this going. Dope tweeted yesterday that Selfie syntax should be more like smelfy, smells. It wasn't very clever.
Smell tax.
Smell text, yeah, it wasn't very clever, but I think the point, the shot was fired. And then Selfie tweeted back, "Dope, more like you're an a-hole." So it got pretty heated pretty fast. It escalated.
These guys are clever.
None of that happened, but I wish it did. What did happen though, Selfie gave me this phenomenal song, and we're gonna play it off, and that's gonna be it, boys. I can't wait for you guys to actually hear this if you listen back to the first 2
I'm sure it's
minutes.
great.
It's pretty amazing. All right, thank you all for joining us for the Captain Jamtastic podcast. Music provided by Selfie Syntax. And hey, miners, good luck this weekend. We'll hopefully see you next week to do a Foci 4 edition.